Can you hit the record button? Excellent. Thank you. Welcome everybody to another Monday night call. I'm so excited about this call because we have a beautiful lady joining us tonight, the beautiful Sharon Pedersen. And this lady always has a smile on her face. It doesn't matter what's going on in her life. She seems to always just vibrate at this beautiful, blissful level and just handles whatever the universe throws at her. But I'm going to share a bit about her story with you, I guess, her little bio that she sent me. And many people probably don't know this about Sharon, but she practiced as a chiropractor. She still is a chiropractor, but for 22 years she's been in the profession, which is pretty cool. I think the longest I ever had a job was probably 2.5 years until I came across Juice Plus, and now I've been here for 7. So 22 years, like hats off to you, Sharon. That's amazing. She used to work full time, but at the moment she's been able to cut that back to about 8 hours a week, which is so cool. She loves running. She loves fitness. That's why she's glowing. And she's put her age in here. So I'm going to share her age because she looks amazing for her age. It's that juicy glow, I think. But Sharon is 47 years of age. She's a sole mom of 3. She's been a solo independent mama, absolutely crushing it for the last 8 years. So hats off to you for that. You deserve a bloody medal for that. And she fell in love with Juice Plus about 4 years ago, you know, the product and the business. And it was at a time in her life where her self-confidence was super low. And she's going to share a bit more about that. She was very financially fearful. She was fearful of her future. And she found herself in a place where she'd never envisioned it for her and her family, you know. So we often hear that a lot for people on this journey, that they find themselves in these tough situations and they couldn't really find a way out. But Sharon found this amazing business, found these amazing products, this amazing community. And I don't even know how long we've been friends, lovely lady, but we hit it off the first time we met and we've been friends ever since. And I have absolutely loved watching your growth. You're an absolutely shining light, not just in my life, but in the lives of so many others. And you are so worthy of being on our call tonight and adding value to our beautiful listeners and our team that are on here tonight. But I'd love you to share a little bit of your journey, honey, and a little bit of the background story if you can. And I just really want to say thank you so much for giving us your time as well. You are an absolute gem, so thank you.
Oh my gosh, my heart is racing right now. I'm tingling. That introduction, Christine, it just lights me up so much. Thank you so much for having me. When you messaged me about inviting me to come and speak with your team, oh my gosh, I just couldn't believe the invitation, really, because when I fell in love with your passion, you know, when I first heard you doing these Friday lunchtime Zoom events with Luke Wren, the sporty, you know, fitness training ones, because that's my passion. And so I would listen to those lunchtime Zooms every Friday, locked it in. I was always a sponge for learning. It's always been something I've always loved doing. And so your energy and your passion for health, fitness, high performance, it all just struck me. And I love those days of those events. So thank you. And so now, back then, there's no way I would have imagined being on one of your team events, you know, so I had no clue. And so it kind of helped me see the journey of where my mindset was at back then, when I was just a teensy little tadpole, you know, in this ocean, and I saw you as a massive leader and, you know, pioneer of light for people. And at that point, there's no way I could have fathomed actually sharing a call with you, a training. And so now I am, and I want to encourage any of you new people, you know, if you perceive myself or Christine in that way, you know, you have totally got the ability to be up here sharing your journey as well and inspiring others. And, you know, I think that's, you know, I guess that's, you just follow the steps and don't ever put a ceiling or a limitation on what can happen for you, no matter where you're at. Because certainly when this came across my path 4 years ago, the business was not something that I could have imagine taking on something else. I was working long hours, single mum of 3. You know, I'd always been a high achiever and I wanted great things for my children. And I was giving them everything I could, but it was all at the expense of myself. I was knackered. I was a high achieving athlete. You know, I raced national level in athletics. My kids go to private school. I'm a chiropractor. We ate well, all these things, but I was just so exhausted. And they're in private school. 3 of them I was funding on my own. You know, that's big bucks down here. And I was not going forwards, and I never signed up for that kind of life. You know, we had a great income when I was with my husband, but things change when you break up and you become a sole parent. Finances are never the same unless you make something different happen. And so I used to cry myself to sleep at night, thinking, I'm going to have to pull my kids out of school. I studied 6 years full-time in a double degree because I wanted a beautiful life for my family that was going to happen, and I wanted flexibility to be a great mum around my family. And that just was not happening, and it was killing me inside. It was crushing me. That's why my self-esteem was rock bottom, because I didn't know how I was going to create a future for my kids. So there was just a snippet of light I saw in this. The products made a big difference to my personal energy and mental clarity within a few days. And so I knew I wanted to find out a little more. When the business was first shared with me, there's no way I could have taken on another thing. My life was full, and I thought of learning something new was no way near any way I could do it, you know. So I'd done a night course to do waxing to create some extra money on the side. Like, here I am, a chiropractor, a double degree health professional, and I'm doing waxing on the side for money. Like, it's insane. So when I first saw some snippets of people getting little bonuses in our team page, I'm like, oh my gosh, I need that $300. Back then the SDBF bonus was $300 and I needed that. So I said to beautiful Kate, who was helping me closely, what do I need to do to get that? So there the journey began, and I didn't really know what would happen. I never watched an event before starting in the business. I just kind of followed the steps and knew I had to get a handful of customers, and I loved the product, so that was easy for me to share the products with people because it made sense, and I felt incredible changes myself, so my belief was high. I knew these were different to anything else I'd come across in my 22 years of having my own practice. So so that's how it began, and I guess I just didn't feel that I would reach the top level. However, I didn't ever discount it. I just figured if I do what they do, I might get the results that they've got. And so I've held on to that vision throughout this entire time. So really, that's really what it was. I just knew I couldn't go backwards, and I couldn't keep things going the way they were. Because it was on this roller coaster cycle of not moving forward. It was just over and over. It was like a mouse in that cage that they go around and around, and we're not going forward. So something had to change. And oh my gosh, it's been the best journey ever for my kids and myself. And so that's my background.
I love your story, and we've got Alison on here tonight, who's also a chiropractor, and she's saying she resonates with this so much, and so is Martha. And I know so many other people are, honey, because when we go into these relationships, when we say till death do us apart, we mean it at the time. We never envisage ourselves being separated, but then life happens, doesn't it? And all of a sudden we go, oh my God, this is not the life that I dreamed of. This is not where I thought I would be. And, that it just shows so much about you that you were, I'm going to do whatever it takes to keep my kids in that school. I don't want to change our lifestyle. And going out to do the waxing and to put in those extra hours just shows the work ethic and who you are as a human being. And, your personality, everything about you is just so infectious. And I can see why people are attracted to you, attracted to your team. And I can see why you're just shining so bright right now. So I love that. Thank you for sharing your story. I suppose what I'd love everyone to hear is, what's a typical day look like for you now? What have you been able to create, and how do you fit Juice Plus in and around, being a mom, because your kids are a little bit older now. but you're still doing a little bit of chiropractic. So how do you fit it all in? How do you juggle it all?
Yeah, well, I'm just going to give you a brief view of what my life was like, actually. My day, I started practice at 7 a.m. in the morning. I'd be up, we live upstairs from my practice, and I would be doing, back then my son was around 5. My girls were about 11 and 12, and there was a fair bit of squabbling going on before school. So I'm downstairs seeing patients. In between patients, I would have to run upstairs, deal with squabbling, then center myself, go back down and see a patient, try and be focused on that patient. Meanwhile, I knew there was squabbling going on. It was stressful. It was breaking me. It truly was. And then I'd be up finally rushing them off to work, to school. Either my staff would have to take them, or I'd have to leave practice and take them to school. Come back, finally breathe because they're at school. There was the joy with my kids just wasn't happening, and that was breaking me. So grateful that this saved us. Truly, it has. Now I'm in a position, I work 2 days a week now. I start at 9, so I can ride to the bike to school with my son. That has been some of the most greatest joys for us, that I'm not rushing around, I'm not stressed. I get up and relaxed in the mornings. So that's been beautiful for my family. My kids say how much happier I am. They notice. Our kids are always watching us, and I've included them in this entire journey right from the get-go. When I started, I listened to a training from Celine. As I said, I'm a sponge for learning. So I was listening to every training I could possibly get my hands on from anyone who I could see as a strong leader in the company. And of course, Celine happened to be on. I didn't really know who she was. Just knew she was kind of important, and she said some good stuff back then. So one of the things she said is you include your kids in this journey right from the beginning. And I'm so glad I listened to that training early on in this journey, because it meant that my beginning included my kids. It wasn't as though they lost it and then I had to try and get them in halfway, because that can be really hard, I've found. So I'm really glad that came across for us early on. So now, basically, I'm training for an Ironman right now, so my time has definitely been something I've had to be very strategic in my time management, because instead of me working 38 hours a week, I'm kind of replacing it with a whole stack of swimming and riding and extra running. But that's great, because it lights me up, right? I love that. And I see that as a way to inspire other mums to believe in what they may not feel that they can do. And this is part of our journey in this company. I truly believe it is to make others and help others see their greatness. And the only way that's going to happen is if we're courageous enough to go first. And I never used to be courageous in ways that would show others what I do. I always thought if I didn't want anyone to know, that I was actually pretty talented at running and I worked hard at that. I always thought people would think I'm bragging or I'm boastful. But I learned, and it was a hard lesson to learn, that I can use my story to inspire others. So it's not about me boasting about my accolades and nothing like that. It's about showing up, shining a light for others so that they can believe that they can do it too. I never swam or rode a bike. I only bought a road bike like 2 months ago, and now I'm doing this 90K ride. It's insane what you can do. But I do that because I know that my story can inspire a couple of others or more. I mean, maybe a lot of people might be inspired to take a step forward, whether it's in their health journey, their fitness journey, or their life journey, and look at how do I create this life where I get to choose what I do every day and choose the things I love. And hopefully that inspires others to see that maybe they could have that as well. So I'm usually doing calls on a bike. I think I've got Tanya on the call. So many times it's been like 4 a.m. I'm up at 4 a.m. going for a swim at 5, and I'm talking to Canada people with goggle eyes because I've just gotten out of the pool. But that is the beautiful part about what we do. We can connect with people around the world around what we do. I don't have to get dressed up and look all professional on my calls. Like, this is who I am. Like, I am a sporty person. I am an athlete. I sweat a lot. All my team know that. I'm real. It's not like I try to be anyone else. And favorite time. And that's the fun part is, connecting with people. Fun is a big part of my life. And my gosh, Tanya and I, we were best buddies in year 7. One of the greatest things I see that this business offers us is when you can buddy up with people who you've been the most dear friends with for a lifetime, truly it lights your heart up. You know, it's really making an impact, and it's reconnecting people on a deeper level that you may have lost touch with. So there's just so many gifts that we cannot lose our belief in the long-term benefits and the long-term impact that we can have. So on my day, I usually do calls throughout the day. It's really scattered throughout the day. I have heard a lot of leaders talk about this, you know, they're really consistent DMO. Mine's consistent, but I don't have definite times of things. And that's actually kind of my go with the flow personality, I've realized. I used to be hard on myself about that, thinking, I have to have designated times. But for me, I don't stick to them anyway. Even my Ironman coach, she's always cross with me because I'm changing my schedule and my training's always changing. So I think that's more me. And as soon as I sort of accepted that that's okay, because not everyone is identically structured and rigid in their day. Some need that and some don't thrive on it. And I certainly find it challenging to thrive when I'm locked into times and things. So I hope that's a little helpful.
I love that, honey. And you've brought up a really important point, that there's not just one way to do this business. You know, for a while there, before I moved to the cold, freezing area of Albury, I was a morning person. And, but there's so many ways to do this business. And some people like checklists. Some people like writing a list out before they go to bed of all the things they need to do the next day. Some people are like you, that they have a list, they know what needs to be done, but they don't like actually scheduling it in. Other people work better if they actually schedule the time in to do things. So I love that you brought that point up. It's so important. And for anyone listening to this, just trial a few different ways to do the business, see what works for you. I know that on the days when my kids are at daycare and school, I am just so strict with my time and what I'm doing, but they're so unpredictable when they're at home, when you've got the kids around you all the time, that it's so hard to actually have things scheduled in. So you've just got to, play around with it and find something that works for you, where you can be in your genius, in your flow, where you can be undistracted at times throughout the day, where you can be super, super productive. So I love that you brought that up. What has been, I guess, the biggest lesson for you so far on this journey, honey? Have you got one that kind of sticks out?
Yeah, well, probably the main thing I feel that was a great lesson is really just learning to shut up. You've probably already gathered that I love to talk. I've been late for races because I've been chatting with people. So I heard early on from Linda, and I heard it repeatedly, just say less, keep the message simple. And so coming from a health professional background, I loved the research. I loved all the ingredients in the products. I loved all the array of health conditions that could improve when people took Juice Plus. And so I loved to share that. Now I definitely realize it's just the most simplistic message we can stick to is the most powerful one. So that certainly took me a while, a long time to execute that more regularly. And I used to imagine Linda just sitting on my shoulder saying, stop talking. And it really helped. And so that was probably the main thing, just keep the message simple. A really big difference.
Yeah, I love that, because so many people, and I'm included in this, have verbally diarrhea Juice Plus on people. We've tried to be the expert. We've tried to, and in the beginning, I remember watching Stevie Coulter, Nat Baldock, Denny Martin, and Linda Everton. They were at my first kind of event that I went to, and I was sitting there thinking, oh my goodness. And Stevie Coulter rattles the ingredient. I still can't tell you what the ingredients are in Juice Plus, but he rattles them off like one after the other, bang, bang, bang. And I'm sitting there listening to Nat Baldock, and I'm like, oh my God, like I've got to be like these people, And then Nat Baldock said to me, no, you don't. You just have to be yourself, and that's it. Don't put us on a pedestal. We are just normal people. Just be yourself. Don't try and be like us. And it's so true, because sometimes we know too much, and it can be detrimental to your business, because everyone's looking at you thinking, oh my God, I'm going to have to know everything that Christine knows. I have to know everything that Sharon knows. So keeping it simple is so smart, and saying less to more people. And Simon Chan says something, you know, he says, if you earn less than $1,000 a month, you're talking more to yourself than you are to other people. So saying less, you're going to get through more people as well. So I love that you brought that up. Okay, so the next question is, what are 3 pieces of advice that you've got for someone? And Nikki, I've seen your question in the chat there, so we'll come back to that. But what are 3 pieces of advice you've got for someone that wants to make a go of this business?
Well, you've just shared my first point, and it is to love being yourself.
Yeah.
Tap into who you are. I didn't know who I was when I first started this journey. I didn't. And so I did try to be Christine. She rocks that product presentation. And so I remember listening to it so I could get just like Christine. You know, and I'd hear other stories and hear other people and try to model off what they were doing. And it took me a while. Like, finally I realized, and you know, I've been doing this for 4 years now. I've probably taken 3 to get around my head that no, I have to own me, because it's my authentic self who's here. And this is where the greatest joy comes too. It's so hard and stressful to try to be other people. We can certainly model off them. We've got amazing, mentors to model off, but we've got to put our own personal flavor and own that. And I believe that's truly where our freedom is, because it's a natural heart-driven message when it's ours. So that it's not always an easy journey or an easy place to arrive or to reach, and it's an ongoing journey. I see that, but certainly it's one to aspire to and really tap into your own gifts and talents and honor those things, because often we're so hard on ourselves and we don't realize our own greatness, but we need to. And that's where our strength is. So being yourself is certainly a big part, I believe, of moving forward and inspiring others to do the same. And when I speak with people, more so now, I really connect with them. So the second one is connecting with people, and I imagine myself being in their shoes. Like, what does it feel like to have their life? So when I'm chatting with someone, I want to know, like, if they're working long hours and putting kids in daycare, like, I imagine how would I feel if I was living that life that they're living. So asking great questions to find out about people and imagine if that was you, how would that feel? And I really believe that brings a much stronger connection to people, and they feel that you care. They feel that you genuinely are listening and you want to understand them. And then it really opens up a trust, and it enables them to really just look at you and ask questions and trust you. And that's what this is definitely a relationship building business. And I heard that in my early couple of years, and it probably didn't really hit me deeply until more recently. And I think, we all get different lessons at different times, and the quicker we can learn the lessons, the quicker our journey forward progresses. And I guess the more conversations we have, the quicker those lessons are going to be learnt. So the more people we talk to. And so holding on to the long-term vision, that's my third one, because this is not a smooth journey. There are hard times. There are challenges. I've cried. I've been annoyed with people. Have I wanted to give up? No, because I knew what was at stake. Have I wanted it easier? Yes. But I know that it needed to be hard, because that's where the greatest challenges are. So I've learnt to love the process of learning through the challenges, because that's our greatest lesson there. And that's the only way that we can move forward and then assist our team to work through the challenges, is when we go first.
I love that, honey. I'm going to throw in an extra question there. I'd love to know, what was some of those face down moments, some of the moments that made you cry? What was going on in your business at the time? What was the frustration or the hurt or whatever you were feeling? What happened? Can you give us just one example?
Yeah. I guess there has been the greatest lesson for me was a challenge that came up, where I was constantly feeling that I wasn't good enough, because I was listening. My perception of what someone was saying to me wasn't real. And I kind of took things very personally. And I thought, if I have to continue doing the journey here, it's not going to happen. And I just didn't know how that would happen. So I had to learn to see the gift in that challenging relationship. And the lesson was there for me to learn. So if we're having conflict with upline, downline, sideline, anywhere, we've got to learn to find the gift in that challenge. And the tougher it is, the more important the gift to learn. And I actually had some coaching call with Lindsay about this. It was that big for me. And the lessons that she helped me see were truly a gift. So that was huge. But never was I giving up, because what else is going to give us that freedom? What else is going to give us the residual income and the power to make the choices that we want in our life? I can't see anything else that's going to do that. So giving up is never an option.
Yeah, I love that. I love that, honey. And yeah, we're so glad that you stuck it out. And so many, well, we know the statistics. It's 98% of people leave the profession. They give up way too early. They give up usually before their first big paycheck. So I'm going to throw in another question. What have you got for those people? Because could be people that watch this recording or on here tonight and they're asking the question, is it all worth it? Like, seriously.
Yeah. Look, I understand people do question if they can do it. They look at other people. People look at me and say, oh, you've got the energy. You're a chiropractor. You've got all those credentials. Any wonder you're good at it. But as you highlighted, Christine, often that's a disadvantage being a chiropractor, because everyone thinks they can't do it. So the simple message, keeping it simple. And so I definitely play that down. I don't promote that in any conversations I have. But giving up, I have got team who have pulled out and they're still doing the same crappy job, working long hours, and they're no further forward now 4 years on. I have others who have stayed in the game, consistent. Like my beautiful friend Tanya, who's on already, she had a very plateaued period of time, but I loved her the entire time. I had no expectation on her. And I don't have that on any of my team, whether they are working actively or not. We have got to love them all, because that's what gives them the freedom to feel an ongoing part of our community. So I think if people are thinking of giving up, perhaps if we can let them know how much we love them being here, even if they're not moving forward or having the success that they thought they would so quickly, that they're acceptable. I love Linda's mantras. You know, you're acceptable as you are. Like, I really hold true to what she shares and what she teaches in that, because it's really the key to people's hearts and their belief in how much we really love them and support them.
I love that, honey. And it's such an important message. And Gordon Hester talks about it all the time. The people that are just sitting there with 4 or 5 customers with just their family on the products and a few close friends, that's your bricks and mortar. Like, you want an army of those people. So stop making people feel so bad for not moving forward in the business, because some people just don't want that. They don't want the competitiveness of it all, or the push, or the, the leadership role. We want people to just feel accepted as they are, and whether they do a little bit or a lot, it doesn't matter. And I love that you said, and Linda says this all the time, we have no expectation on people, and we've got to stop trying to turn those white marbles into purple marbles, because people have already pre-selected what they're going to do in this business before we've even had a chance, So I'm going to go back to Nikki's question now. She said, how do you keep track of your DMO? She's not sure that scheduling works for her, but she's trying to work out how to make the flow work. So any suggestions or tips, like how do you keep track of your DMO and where you're up to?
My DMO, well, I have a little booklet that I write names of people I've been talking to, and on a page, if I've had close conversations, and I write notes about them so I don't forget their kids or their reason that they were interested. I use Messenger a lot. I have Teamsy, but I haven't been using Teamsy as diligently as what I could be for organising better. Really, my phone, it's all on my phone for me. It's not something that many would consider I have great that's an area of work for me to get better at. But that's the thing, like I'm cute and I've still screwed up along. You know, you don't have to get it right. Like it's learning as you go.
I love that. I love that. Hopefully that helps, Nikki. And yeah, there's so many ways that you can organize your DMO. Like you can look at, like we've got a mesh tick and flick sheet. So you can go look at the tick and flick sheet. Some people have laminated it and all they do is they just go and tick the boxes each day, wipe it off for the next day and they go back. Other people have a bare minimum. So I'm a bare minimum person. And my bare minimum 3 things that I do every day before my head hits the pillow is adding new people, sending out invites and doing follow-ups. And as long as I get those 3 things done and I can go to sleep at night thinking, well, at least you did some high pain activities today. You didn't get everything done, but at least you got the high pain activities. You're going to get paid for that, not now, but in a week, in a month, in a year's time for the work that you do today. So hopefully that helps as well. Does anyone have any other questions before I go to the final question for Sharon? We're trying to keep these training calls a little bit shorter, but if you do have a question, either take yourself off mute or whack it in the chat there. I'm just having a quick look at the chat to see if there's any other questions. I want to thank...
How do you introduce the business to new people?
How do you
cold call
to new people? Okay, great question. How do you introduce the business to new people, Sharon?
Well, I asked them. I asked about them. I asked them. I find out about them before I introduce the business because it's not for everyone. I don't want to work with everyone. I want to be selective as to who I'm working with because this is a long-term journey. So I want to find out what they're looking for. What are they doing now? What do they love? What lights them up? So I want to hang out with people who are fun and are inspired and a lot, you know, even if they're just here for a small part of, you know, the community aspect of things, I still want them to be cool to hang out with. And so I really want to find out about them. And I think that's the key, which I missed in my early part of the business. I really didn't get the importance of that. So the more questions and genuine questions, not kind of scripted ones, just really feel people and get to know them. I really feel that's the key. And then if they're struggling in their life, I would say something like, oh, look, I don't know, maybe you'd be keen on what I do. This is why I'm out riding today, because I could be riding a bike when I'm having the chat. Check out what I'm doing. You know, this is why I get to ride every day or run every day. I'll send you a link if you're interested. Something along those lines, but it's being interested in them that really I think is the difference.
Yeah, and we hear Linda say it all the time, you have to become a master asker. You have to be interested, not interesting. You know, and I think that's the key. And really sorting through your contacts as well really helps, you know. As Sharon said, like, we don't want everyone on our team. You know, we want people, we're not desperate for people, okay? I've been through the desperate stage. I've had some shockers on my team because I was so desperate just to get team. But we don't have to be like that. We can be selective. You know, you can wait and say to people, and I have turned people away now that I don't, if they're not a fit for my tribe, for our team, if I don't think they're going to fit in culturally in our team, I'll refer them back to head office and say, I think you really need to contact head office and they'll find you a suitable team. So don't be afraid to be like that. That's you stepping into your power and going, you know what? I actually visualize this person going to be more trouble than actually they are good, and I don't have the energy to be able to put into that. So just be okay with that, guys. You can be selective. There's another question here. What is your favorite link to introduce the business concept to people? What link do you use, honey?
Oh, I use Girls Want to Have Fun. I love it. The energy, the stories, the variety. I can't go better in my book.
Yeah, there's some good ones out there, isn't it? The problem is we've got an abundance of recordings of Girls Want to Have Fun. There's so many good ones. And we really should have labelled them a bit better, I think, of, you know, the people's stories in there. But yeah, you have one. I'm the same. I've got 1, 2, maybe 3 really good Girls Want to Have Funs, and that's all I share as well. And then for the blokes, you know, I love sharing the 24/7 stuff. You know, the I can't remember he's the CEO overseas. Anyway, I can share it with you if anyone wants the male one that I share. Okay, any other questions? So, yep, So Alison uses that one as well. Anyone else got a question? Yep, you want that one, Alison? Yep, I'll pull that up. Do you have a story where you realized what impact you've had on someone? So have you got a story around you've had a massive impact?
All my team, like I actually own the fact that they wouldn't be here if it wasn't for me. You know, like I think often we don't give ourselves credit, and I think we all need to learn to do that a bit more. So, you know, I think we've all got team that have been able to create some magic for themselves, and if we didn't have the courage to invite them to have a look at this, that would never have happened. So, yeah, and then health. The abundance of health stories. So I feel grateful every day, and I feel like I am making an impact every day because we always have different stories happening and that we're hearing of.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's those stories that we draw on that keep us in the game, don't they? You know, I was talking to a sideline buddy yesterday exactly about this, you know, and we sort of spoke about, well, imagine if Linda had given up. Imagine how many people would not be here if that woman had just quit on a bad day, you know. And I feel like each of us needs to take that responsibility on because there's people relying on us as well. There's people that are sticking around because we're still here. And when we're still here and we're still doing the do, it keeps instilling the belief and the hope in those other people. So, and I'm not just talking team either. I'm talking family, I'm talking kids, I'm talking partners, I'm talking, you know, immediate family, friends. You know, people are watching us and they're constantly drawing inspiration from the impact that we're making out there. So I love that you said that, honey. Okay, someone else wants the link for the guys. Does anyone, Joel, you said you've never owned that. Good. I'm glad you're going to own that from now on. Awesome. So, all right, I'm going to ask the final question then. If you could put anything, Sharon, on a billboard for the world to see, what would you put on it?
Well, I'm an athlete and I own that. And one of the things that helped me push through tough times through my trainings is champions do what most people are not doing. And I apply that in this business too, because, you know, not everyone is at 100 Club like you, Christine, but you've done something that others are not doing, or you've done more of it. And so that's what I see is a indication of a true champion, when you're prepared to go above and beyond what the most people are doing. So that's really a motto and a theme that I have always loved and can apply it in so many different ways in my life.
I love that because it is so applicable to sport or as a parent or in business. So I love that. I love that. That's an awesome, awesome one. You know what we should do, Joel? We should get all these billboards of all the guest speakers and what they've put on it and create this massive, big one billboard with all of them on it, because I love it. I love it. You know, how you show up to anything is how you show up to everything. And you know, you definitely show up every day, honey, and you are an absolute blessing in our team. We've got nothing to do with each other's businesses, but you are still such, as I said, a shining light in my life and so many other people. Whoever comes in contact with you, they walk away from you feeling so good. It's that energy and that vibration. And I want to thank your team for jumping on here tonight to support you, and Tanya, your friend from Year 7, for saying yes and being part of this exciting community and this exciting journey. And that's the best part, is doing it with your friends. So thank you so much for your time. And if you haven't met Sharon, like, please stalk her. And are you coming to Game Plan, Sharon? You'll be at Game Plan, won't you?
Always, yes.
And you'll be at Super Saturday in Melbourne on the 20th as well, so I'll definitely see you there for a hug. But if you see Sharon at Game Plan, please go up to her, give her a cuddle. She's a great hugger. She smells good too, and she would more than be happy to, you know, give you a hug back. But Sharon, you're amazing. You are totally worthy of so much success in your life. You're an incredible mum. You're an incredible chiropractor, although I've never had you, but I've heard you have treated some people that I know and they think that you're amazing. And you're just an amazing woman. And, you know, I just, yeah, I couldn't imagine being on this journey without you. So thank you so much for your time tonight and for sharing with people how awesome I am as well. That was really good. Keep talking and singing that tune.
Thank you so much for having me. Yes, please say hello to me if I don't recognise you. In the Gold Coast, I'd love to.